Hey guys, it's Faye. I just went through like a 10-minute video and then I realized that I wasn't recording. So this is my haul. Yeah. So. Sorry if I'm like super awkward right now. I cannot believe I just did that. I feel super blonde right now. Okay. So, I think I'm not gonna start with this. I think I'm gonna start with something else because I have a lot to say about that. I could probably do a whole video on that. If you're wondering about this book. All right. So this is the first thing in my haul. I got this. I went to Goodwill, and I think that this was a book end. So I think that there were originally two. But look at how freaking cool this is. It's got like stars and sun and moon and clouds, and it's really awesome. And I'm gonna put it on my altar. And I got it for $3. So this is going on my altar. It's going to represent balance. Being a Libra, that's something that's very important to me. And I also think it sort of represents my male and female aspect of God, of divinity or whatever. But look, it's like even around here, I have a real thing for suns, moons, and stars. So when I have my own specific designated place of worship in my own house, it's probably going to be with this motif in mind. Yeah, so that's that book. And then, before I went to Goodwill, or like a few days before I went to Goodwill, I went to Half Price Books, and I got these things. Now, one of these things is not for me. This is actually a birthday present for the Northern Heathen, and she already knows that this is what I'm getting her, and honestly, this is for Yule. I've decided that I don't really see the point in keeping something a secret, really. I mean, specifically for her, I mean, because she's so far away that she probably wouldn't even get it until well after Yule or Christmas or anything. So, whatever. She's seen it. She knows. But I'm not gonna tell you guys how much it was. Finish Magic, by Robert Nelson, PhD, and it says A Nation of Wizards, A World of Spirits, and it's pretty cool looking. Look at all these sigils. And if you guys know Charlie, she is from Finland originally, and she's dedicated herself to heathenry. And I don't know if this is heathenry, but she might find a correlation and be able to weave it in, and that can give her her own like kind of edge on her spirituality, I guess. Something that that's different than other heathens. Or I would hope it would. I don't think it's like really packed full with a lot of stuff, but I think that it will kind of open her up to different things. So Finish Magic. I've read through it, and it looks really cool, and I think that because she kind of grew up she grew up in Finland with a sort of very pagan-y background, so she might find a lot of correlations, and she might, like, just because it feels familiar to her, she'll latch onto it immediately and incorporate it into her heathenry practice, because from what I understand of heathenry, it's not specific to any particular region. Vikings, which is what heathenry is based off of, weren't really based, I guess, out of Finland. They just sort of went to Finland. I'm sure that they traded with them, but I don't think that the Vikings that actually like went out and sailed or whatever were Finnish in nature. I think that they originally started in, I believe, and I could be wrong, but from what I understand of history, is that they started, the Vikings that went out and conquered places, they kind of started in Denmark, and they moved out towards Sweden and Norway. And I think that Norwegian and Swedish Vikings are more prominent. Even though it started in Denmark, they kind of get the all the glory for it. But I don't know. They could have been based out of Finland as well. Again, I'm not very well versed in that. And when I get into it, when I get to that aspect of my personal heritage, I'll probably do a lot more research and rectify that comment. But anyways, so that's the book for Charlie, my bestie. And then I got this book on tea leaf reading because I have a book on palm reading called I think it's like Journey to the Hand, A to Z. Maybe I'll show that later, but or I'll put it in the description box below. But because of my Romani heritage, I decided sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained today. But what I've noticed is that Romanis have gotten a lot of the credit. Not necessarily, this isn't necessarily true, but they've gotten a lot of credit for originating these ways of divination. I think the only one they don't have credit for is runes. And from what I understand, that's just a Celtic slash Scandinavian practice in general, or Germanic. So basically, I don't know what I'm doing. There's no map here, so it's not like you would know, but like whatever. It's basically like everywhere from Germany this way, if there was a big line, Germany, to like Sweden and everything. And Ireland and Scotland and all those places, and France, places like that. They're the only ones who kind of have their own way of divination, and from what I understand, is very complex and it's simultaneously complex and simplistic. There's only so many runes, but the simplistic in that there's only so many runes depending on which runic alphabet you use, and very complex in that those runes can mean so many different things depending on what they're paired with, perhaps. And they don't really have like spreads or anything. Some people throw them and see what's turned over, and some people just pull one. Whatever, that's a long story. Anyways, so I decided, because of my Romani heritage, that I was going to look up do a lot of research, and just decided that I was going to dedicate myself to being proficient in all the ways of divination that I can find. And so I found this book on tea leaf reading. It's called Tea Leaf Reading by William W. Hewitt, and it was $3.98 at Half Price Books. And it's listed for $7.95 in the United States and $11.95 in Canada. So I got a pretty good deal on it, and it looks really interesting. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but it's on my book list. So, yeah, there's that. And then I found that book, this book. I decided that if I was going to, because I'm trying so hard to get my Book of Shadows sort of put together, or sort of out. What I really need to do is sit down and make a list of everything that I want to do, and take a look at that list and decide what I want to do that day, and not stop, or like that week or whatever, make a project of it and not stop working on it until it's done, so I can check it off the list and then it's done. There's a lot of stuff that I already know that I don't have written down in like one place, like other than my Book of Mirrors. So, but yeah. So I figured that because of that, I wanted to get this Encyclopedia of Magical Creatures, the Element Encyclopedia of Magical Creatures. It it's a smaller version. It says like, there was a large version and a smaller version. I think the larger version had illustrations. There aren't really illustrations in here. But I figure there's some, like right here, but this is like the first one I've seen, and it's like pretty small and like in the middle of the book. But it's, what I like about it is that it's got every magical creature from every sort of culture, and I think what I'm going to do is kind of go through and highlight the ones that I want and then separate them. In my Book of Shadows, I'm probably, it was $14.99, and it's listed, it doesn't say on the back how much it was originally. That's a little upsetting. It probably was that much anyways. But yeah, I would really like to get a bunch of these, like the Dream Dictionary, the Secret Signs and Symbols, the Secret Societies, Ghosts and Hauntings, Encyclopedia, and I think they have a big book of spells too. So I think that's going to be super useful. What I want to do in my Book of Shadows, or my grimoire, or whatever, my big book of everything, is that I'm going to start it off with general information about just general witchcraft, the widespread idea of witchcraft, in the front, and then from that point there's going to be several sections, and it's going to be like, I think it's going to be, and I've already like made the cover pages and everything for it, but my Romani tradition, and it's going to say Romani traditions, Asiatic traditions, what was it? Native American traditions, which is specifically going to be more geared towards my actual tribe, my Cherokee tribe. Again, Romani traditions probably geared more towards Sinti tribe. But because I don't know too terribly much about all of the, specifically for Romanis, I'm probably just going to put a blanket Romani traditions in there, and whatever my kids or grandkids or my progeny want to do with that information, they can do what they will. But yeah, so everything else is going to be separated, including magical creatures, deities, and things like that. And then in the back, I'm going to have another section that's basically just an index or correspondence index that basically says, so this thing in this culture and this thing in this culture are basically the same, and you can read on them, find them on these pages, and decide what you want to do with them from there. But yeah, so I'm going to do Romani traditions, Native American traditions, Asiatic traditions, and then Celtic, Norse, and otherwise Germanic traditions, because that's just my blanket European traditions. And then I don't know if that's just from my side. I don't know if Nick will want me to put in some of his heritage, because he's Italian and Mexican and apparently French, and he's also Irish, I believe. So I think I'll just, everything that he and I are the same on, I'll keep that, the way it is. But everything that is different, I think I might incorporate those as well. That doesn't mean I will incorporate them in my practice, but my children might. They might feel more they might feel that they resonate more with, say, Mayan traditions or Santeria. They might want to practice Santeria, and that's totally fine with them, as long as they can explain why they resonate with that. I don't really care, as long as it's not just because, I want them to really respect the religion that they choose. So yeah, that's that book. Now we get into my super long one. I've already been talking for like 15 minutes. I'm not going to talk about that book. I'll do a whole separate thing, because I could talk about that book forever. But yeah. So that's my haul. And kind of an update on what I'm planning to do with my Book of Shadows, I guess. So thanks for watching. I love you guys. Bye.